my name is Phoebe and welcome back to another Doctor Who YouTube video. So today's video is top 10 first Doctor episodes. I wanted to do this, by the way, we've only got one more Doctor to do after this, the 7th Doctor, then we can finally move on to the modern era of Doctor Who with the 10th Doctor first, then the 11th and then the 12th. So yeah, I'm also going to be vlogging this weekend. I've got a garden party to go to, so this is going to be fun. The first garden party since my first party since the pandemic. I'm not dressing like formal. I'm just going to chuck on a shirt, jeans and trainers, because it's going to, I'm not really massive fan of wearing dresses, and to be quite honest with you, that's all I'm going to wear. Literally, I'm just going to wear a shirt and jeans and Converse, because that's all I want to wear, and that's formal enough for me. So yeah, if you've never seen my face on your screens before, please hit that big red subscribe button down below and click the notifications bell so you get notifications every time I upload. I upload every Tuesday, film every Tuesday and upload every Tuesday. So these videos are basically filmed the same day you're watching them. Anyway, so let's get on with the video. So over the last couple of weeks, last few weeks, I've been doing a top 10 Doctor Who videos, Doctor episodes on Classic Who, and the next week, starting from the week after next, I'm going to be then doing top 10 modern Doctor episodes to watch. So we've got the 7th Doctor to do after the first Doctor. I'm not doing the 6th Doctor because the 6th Doctor didn't really have 3 whole series, so there's not really much. And there's 1 whole series where it's just the trial of the Time Lord, so, not exactly the best. So yeah, and I've got really, to be honest, there's no good episodes of Colin Baker. So yeah, so we've got the first Doctor to do, then the 7th Doctor, then we're going to move on to the 10th, because there's the 9th only did 1 season, and all the 10 episodes are going to be kind of based on that season, and I need more episodes, I need more series of each Doctor to base my analysis on. So we're going to do 10, 11 and 12. 13's only done 2 seasons so far, so I'll do 13 when season 13 has aired, basically. So, yeah. Okie dokie, let's get on with the video. I'll let you know which ones are on BritBox and which ones aren't, basically, the ones that are lost. Okay, so number 10, An Unearthly Child. Needless to say, the original serial requires a mention. It begins with 2 teachers, Ian and Barbara, who notice something odd about their student, Susan. Although she has a strong knowledge in science and history, she gets confused about everyday occurrences, such as using currency. Investigating further, they discover that she's the granddaughter of a time-travelling alien. Where they stumble into the TARDIS, they set off on an unbelievable journey through time and space. I've watched the episode and I have to agree. I've not really watched the first Doctor because I'm not a massive fan of William Hartnell. Sorry to William Hartnell fans out there. I don't mean any offence, but I'm just saying he's not my favourite in my top 10 list of 13 Doctors. At the end of this, I'll give you my list of top 13 Doctors as well. So, so you get an idea of who my favourite Doctors are. Number 9, The Romans. The Romans aren't actually on BritBox. I don't think so. I can check for you, as I've got 2 iPads now, so I can open BritBox on here and check for you which episodes are. It might be handy if I keep BritBox open for future, so I can check which first Doctor episodes are on BritBox. By the way, if you want to have BritBox, use my 25% discount code Phoebe25 and you'll get 25% off your first subscription for BritBox, and also you'll get 3 months completely free, because I now work for BritBox as part of the YouTube thing, so you just check for you. It does take a while to load. The Romans. As expected. The Romans are on there. The Romans are on BritBox. At the beginning of the franchise, producers hoped that the progressive educational aspect of the show, the idea was to discard when the futuristic sci-fi themed episode proved substantial most popular. This isn't to say that they weren't without their merits, and one of the most entertaining serials of this ilk is The Romans. With its parallel narratives, it proves a wide cross-section of ancient Roman culture and ends up on the humorous notes extra points for Doctor linked recitals. Okay, The Age of Destruction, that's series 1. I'm just going to check for you to make sure that is on BritBox. It's after the Daleks, I think. Yes, The Age of Destruction is on there. The Age of Destruction is on BritBox, so I've got it all open on here so I can all check for you. I can check for you without a doubt. Okay. Very early on in the series, the Doctor and his companions weren't completely trusting of each other, as evidenced in this two-part story, where the Doctor suspects that the TARDIS has been sabotaged. He suspects Ian or Barbara to be the culprits. While the TARDIS is trapped, floating in space, the crew members turn against each other. A very well-written plot. I have to say it was well-written. It was probably one of the best classic serials of all time. You get 2 parts to it, and they're both, hang on, how long are they? They're both one of them's 25 minutes, the second part's 22 minutes long. Okay. 7, The Keys of Matahari. Now I'm just going to check for you. Yep, that's on here. Breaking away from the usual format, The Keys of Matahari involves the Doctor's companions being tasked with having to recover a set of computer keys from around the planet. Each episode sees them arrive in a new, very nasty, different locations that houses a fresh set of challenges. This comes in the form of mind games, dangerous hunters, and taps cunning with Ian on trial for murder, and the Doctor taking up the role of the lawyer. Okay, so we know that's on BritBox because I've just seen it. The next one is the Space Museum. Now I'm just going to check that this is on here for you guys because I want you guys to know that there are some episodes still on here to this day. Yep, the Space Museum is on BritBox. I've just seen it on here in Series 2, Episode 26. The Space Museum. One of the first episodes that deals with time consumption instead of the Doctor simply popping in different parts of history. In this case, it proves to be a very cool set for the coming episodes. Arriving in the future outside a museum, they notice several odd happenings before venturing inside. Where nobody seems to notice them, the Doctor summarises that they have landed slightly outside of the time stream, putting them temporarily out of reality. Knowing that they are going to be back in normal time soon becomes a very real concern when they find themselves frozen and on display in a museum. 5. The Time Meddler. I'm now just going to check if the Time Meddler is on here because if that's the case... Yes, the Time Meddler is on here. This story is significant as it's the first time we encounter a Time Lord other than the Doctor. The monk is cut from a different cloth, preferring to, you guessed it, meddling with history rather than adventure around the people. His actions were never miraculous. Instead, he likes getting involved with making sure things take their course in the event. It's against time or protocol to invert with history, creating a conflict with the Doctor. 4. The Rescue. Now I'm just going to check if the rescue's on here. By the way, the way I'm looking is not all of them are in the order on here, so I have to look from different series to check if they are actually on here, because it's annoying. So yeah guys, I have to check if they're on here because I don't want you guys to be disappointed if they're not, so I have to actually double check for you. I'm just double checking. Nope, the rescue's not on here. A very cool two-part story, not as long as usual serials from the era, but it's more than makes up for it in quality. The crew of the TARDIS arrive on the planet to find two humans stranded waiting a rescue. Vicky cares for a crippled Bennett, and they both live in fear of the mysterious cuddle or whatever that roams the... I'll spell it out for you. It's Koquillion that roams the landscape, a tightly written episode that contains a smartly diverse twist and introduces a new passenger of the TARDIS. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find that on here, and I'm generally being honest when I say that, because I can't seem to find this on here. Unless it's in series 2, which I've checked. I'm just double checking again, because I might have missed it when I was scrolling through. You got... The rescue is on there. The rescue is on there. I rest my case. Number 3, the chase. The chase is on there. Again with the Daleks in this story, the most famous of the Doctor's enemies have built themselves a time machine of their own and are chasing the TARDIS through time and space. Being only a short amount of time behind them, the Doctor and his companions hurtle from place to place without control. The longer they stay in one location, the closer the Dalek gets. After some memorable stops on the Mary Celeste and a haunted mansion, they make their stand. If they want to see the Daleks fighting Frankenstein monster, then this is one of them for all. The Ark. Now, the Ark is definitely on here because it's literally episode 28 on series 3. Unfortunately, we don't have all of series 3, unfortunately. That's a bit of disappointment, but oh well. The complete story arc of the Ark definitely combines two sci-fi fiction tropes in one great group of episodes. When the TARDIS arrives on a giant spaceship transported with the remains of the human race, a new planet to be colonised that invade unleashed flu germs that the human race has been long since invaded. Among the highly successful population, halfway through the story seems to be resolved and travellers move on, arriving in the same place, further into the future, only to find that the suburb alien race on the Ark has revolved and taken over. As eventually good, the first plot, the two concepts, and rich in ideas to fun to watch. The Dalek invasion of Earth. Now that is on here. And I know that because it's there. Don't believe me? There. But yeah, that is literally it. So the Dalek invasion of Earth is on there. Possibly the most famous of the earliest adventures also have been adapted to a Peter Cushing movie. It's the first set of episodes that look as though it had more than a $5 in the budget. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan arrive on Earth only to find that they're far into the future and the Daleks have already invaded and conquered the planet. Groups of Daleks roaming around the deserted streets of London in a powerful image, with the Doctor and his companions separated into groups. We have multiple narrative threads to follow that paints a broad picture of what Dalek controlled world is like. If you've only seen one classic Doctor Who episode, this is the one to watch. Definitely. Now, I must admit, I wasn't expecting all of those top 10 episodes to be actually available on BritBox. I thought at least the top 10 would be some form of loss or whatever. So yeah, now I'm going to give you my top 13 list of my favourite Doctors, starting with number 1. Number 1, David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. I loved his Doctor. He reminded me so much of the 5th Doctor, so he gets the number 1 place on my list. And I just loved him in suits and Converse, running around in that two-piece suit with a long coat. What more could you want? Number 2, Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor. There's no competition that Peter Davison gets the second spot, just below David Tennant. But every time I watch Peter Davison, I always get flashback to the 10th Doctor every time I click on Classic Who to watch Peter Davison. He's probably the only Doctor I watch every time. He's the first Doctor I watch every time I go back onto Classic Who before I go and watch the black and white ones. So he definitely earns the second place on my list. Number 3, Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker gets the number 3 spot because she's the Doctor who got me into Doctor Who. She was the first original Doctor who got me into Doctor Who, the first female Doctor. So for that reason, she gets number 3 on my list. She would be higher, but she hasn't had much of a run yet, so I want to see what she's capable of in the 3rd series before I do a final deduction on my list. But for now, she's number 3. Number 4, Matt Smith. I loved Matt Smith's Doctor, and finally, for once, they didn't have a companion love story like they did with Rose or Martha. They didn't finally have a Doctor companion love story. Making the Doctor and Rose a couple, that was a stupid thing to do. And giving Martha a love story, stupid as well. But yeah, I loved Matt Smith's Doctor. It was a new era. In 2010, it was a new era of Doctor Who. No more companion love stories. Having the perfect companion and Doctor dynamic, perfect. Loved it. That's why I love Matt Smith's Doctor, because he reminded me so much of 10 as well. Like 10 and 11 both had very similar personalities. But he doesn't get the number 1 spot because Peter Davison and David Tennant will always be my 2 favourite Doctors. My number 2. 1 and 2 favourite Doctors. Number 5, Peter Capaldi. I'm putting Peter Capaldi at this 5th spot because until I watched Colin Baker, Peter Capaldi was kind of fairly low down on my list, but since I've watched Peter Capaldi, I've had to change my mind slightly. So Peter Capaldi is not my favourite, but I did like his character. His costumes were a bit all over the place. So for that reason, he gets number 5 because of the costume. Number 6, Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy, without a doubt, is definitely one of the Doctors that I do definitely like on the classic series. He was very funny and very kind of jerky, sarcastic. Everything I love about Doctor Who. I just loved his character so much. I felt like I was a part of it. Number 7, Tom Baker. Tom Baker gets the number 7 spot for me because I liked him as a Doctor. I liked him as the Doctor in the long scarf, but the reason why he gets this number 7 spot is it's just his stories were all over the place. I don't dislike him. I love him. But the only reason he gets number 7 is the number 7 spot is because he can't compete with Peter Davison or David Tennant, in my opinion. But I did like the long scarf. I liked a lot of his stories, but there was one story that didn't get complete, Shader. So unfortunately, he gets the number 7 spot because of that. Number 8, Jon Pertwee. There's no surprise Jon Pertwee gets the number 8 spot, as he was the first Doctor to come into colour, but also the last Doctor to go out of black and white. So whichever way you look at it is quite good. The only reason he gets this spot is because I liked what he was doing, but I think he was too energetic. He wore martial arts well. You can always wear martial arts well. Oh my god, he was superb. But I don't dislike him. I never dislike any of these Doctors, by the way. I just have them quite low because of some reasons. But personally, for me, he didn't sit quite well with me. His performance with UNIT, he was exiled to Earth, so he gets a couple of points knocked off for that. Number 9, Patrick Troughton. Now, there is without a doubt Patrick Troughton was probably the Doctor in the classic era, like Peter Davison was when he took over. But Patrick Troughton, for me, he's a bit iffy. It's a bit iffy for me. He wasn't exactly the best for me. He wore a bow tie, so he beat Matt Smith at the bow tie game. He was very energetic and young, and he ran funny. But I liked his stories. I liked his companions. Unfortunately, most of his stories are missing. So for that reason, he gets quite a low spot. If they had more stories, he'd be higher. but he gets quite a low spot for me on the list. Number 10, William Hartnell. I've got nothing against William Hartnell as a person. He was a fantastic doctor, but for me personally, he was a bit old and he couldn't really remember his lines much when he was playing the Doctor. I loved his companions' dynamic. The four of them in the TARDIS together. But he was a bit of a a-hole. He took the TARDIS element he took the fluid link out of the TARDIS to get his own way. So he was a bit more of a manipulative Doctor. Okay? Number 11, Christopher Eccleston. Christopher Eccleston for me doesn't really sit well. He only did one season as the Doctor, not exactly the best Doctor of all time. He changed his intimate t-shirts a lot of the time, but he only did one season, so I can't really make a fair judgment on him. Sorry to Eccleston fans, but for me, Eccleston just wasn't the right Doctor for his dynamic, for his short tenure on the show. He did revolutionise 2005 though, he did come alive in 2005, but personally for me, he just didn't sit well. And number 12, and you've guessed it, Colin Baker. I've put Colin Baker right at the bottom of my list, because until I watched Classic Who, I didn't know who I liked, and it's evident that Colin Baker is right at the bottom of my list. Now, you guys can pretty much guess the reason why I put him at the bottom of my list. The reason why is because I hated his Doctor. He wore that horrible multicoloured outfit. It was the 80s Doctor who was all over the place. It wasn't just that, though, that got me. The outfit didn't just get me to that. If you want me to rate Doctor Who outfits, I'm more than happy to. Colin Baker's outfit's obviously going to be at the bottom of my list. It wasn't just the outfit that got me about his Doctor. It was his general manner of being the Doctor. He strangled his companion Perry, and he just didn't really sit well with me as a viewer, because when you're watching Doctor Who, you want to have the perfect viewing experience. And his Doctor, in my opinion, was a bit more violent. Basically, he was like this. He was like a rose, basically. I've got flowers here, which I shouldn't really be messing with. So yeah, he was basically like a frozen rose, and he just didn't have the personality that Fifth had. So he sits very low at my list. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it's so long. I wanted to give you guys a chance. I just wanted to give you my list of Doctors. So yeah, that's it. If you want me to make Doctor outfits, then I will at some point. Probably when I finish this series. And if you want me to start rating episodes or reviewing episodes of Doctor Who, then I'm more than happy to do that. I'll watch them in advance and then do everything. And I hope you guys are liking the qualities of these videos. They're better now because of my iPad Air. So I'll see you guys soon. I've also got a really cool logo now that I'll insert in iMovies today for the beginning of this video with music. So enjoy. I'll see you guys soon for another video. Alonzi.